Hurricane season has arrived in the Lowcountry. Tropical systems sweep through the coast every year, bringing flooding, road closures, even evacuations. Each year we prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. Each one makes us stronger, smarter, and better prepared. Will you be ready? This is News 4's Ready for the Storm, a resilient Lowcountry, presented by Mount Valley Foundation Services. Here is your certified, most accurate storm tracker team of meteorologists.
Hurricane season is here. Each year, we have to prepare for the worst and hope for the best, because every storm and every season is different. Tropical Storm Debbie and Hurricane Helene brought heavy rain, gusty winds, flooding and tornadoes to the Lowcountry in 2024. Those were only two of the 18 named storms. It was the third costliest season on record in the Atlantic, behind only 2017 and 2005.
2005, 20 years ago, 20 years since Hurricane Katrina devastated the northern Gulf Coast.
I mean, everything was gone. I mean, we pulled in, to New Orleans, and you could see the smoke, you could smell everything burning. I remember it was hot. I can remember that.
For New Orleans, it was Katrina. For the Lowcountry, it was Hugo. Then for the Western Carolinas and parts of Appalachia, it was Helene just last year.
We know stronger storms are coming with climate change. We need to learn to be more resilient, to protect our homes and businesses against hurricanes. There is a unique research facility in the Midlands that puts buildings to the test when it comes to hurricane force winds and torrential rain.
You have to protect your home at all costs. That means having the right kind of insurance for you and your family, especially when it floods.
During Hurricane Helene, catastrophic flooding led to widespread landslides. That, along with wind, killed more than 100 people. I went back to the Western Carolinas almost a year later to see how they rebounded.
We have several major stems of rivers that take on the water and can really effectively move it out. The problem with Helene is it rained everywhere, and not only above these river stems, but into the river basins, and the ground couldn't hold any of it. And so all of that was added into it, and then it became too much for even these efficient rivers to handle.
The French Broad River, which runs through downtown Asheville and the River Arts District, is normally about 2 feet deep. However, after Hurricane Helene's torrential rains, this river crested at over 24 feet. That would be like stacking 4 6-foot Daves on top of each other.
Biltmore Village was one of the harder hit areas in the Asheville region. Most of the businesses in our historic district did sustain a lot of flooding and water damage. And this is because most historic districts are often built along waterways.
Right here at this spot where I'm standing, the Swannanoa River crested at over 27 feet. Here's the river gauge. That's almost 12 feet that way.
In this area in Biltmore Village, we sustained 12 to 14 feet of water. So that was just a few inches below our ceiling on our main floor. It totally devastated our downstairs lobby area, our elevator, electrical infrastructure, and our clothing store, Bellagio, which is next door, a 4,000 square foot clothing store. Our upstairs in this gallery was spared, so we have 12,500 square feet of gallery.
New Morning Gallery was one of the first to reopen in May in Biltmore Village. Other businesses in the area are still slowly opening up.
I think that our area really showed what the nature and the spirit of community looks like here. And that is part of what makes Asheville and the mountains of North Carolina so special. It's very rooted in community, very rooted in helping one another. And so we had people who had experienced massive loss, but were still coming and trying to help wherever they could, even if they couldn't help themselves at that point.
Tourism is vital to Asheville's economy. The resounding theme I heard on my return visit was we're open.
There's plenty to do, lots of great food, great places to stay, hiking, the natural wonders of the mountains, and it's 10 or 15 degrees cooler here than it is in Charleston. So you can get a little break from the summer heat and take a trip to the mountains and enjoy all that we have to offer.
Even hours from the coast, hurricanes can bring devastation. Helene, an example of that during the 2024 season.
Nobody, I don't care where you live, nobody is immune to a natural disaster. A lot of people here thought something like this would never happen, of course, but it did. So I think in hindsight, always have a plan. I don't care if it's a severe thunderstorm or a flash flood or a blizzard, you should have a plan where you have an emergency kit ready to go with important documents, prescriptions, food for animals and pets, yourselves, water, and just have that ready to go and practice that plan.
It's been 20 years since Hurricane Katrina forever changed parts of the Gulf Coast. Let's take a look back at how it all unfolded. A tropical depression formed on August 23, 2005 over the Bahamas. By August 24th, it became Tropical Storm Katrina. It was a Category 1 hurricane when it made its first landfall near Miami. The storm moved across South Florida and into the Gulf, where it rapidly intensified over the warm waters. It briefly became a powerful Category 5 hurricane, setting new records. On August 29th, Katrina, a Category 3 hurricane at this point, made a second landfall in a small town southeast of New Orleans, then a third near the mouth of the Pearl River. The storm brought catastrophic effects. More than 1,800 people died, billions of dollars in damage. Although the impact is still felt, New Orleans has recovered, and resiliency efforts continue today.
And so it's been 20 years of rebuilding, essentially. And I think we're in a much better position or place now in the city than we were then.
New Orleans looks a lot different today than it did in late August and early September of 2005.
There was nothing, there was no life, there was no movement, there was no people, there was nothing happening. It was a major city and there was nothing there. It was just destruction.
Matt Clark, a retired chief gunner's mate in the United States Navy, was on board the USS Tortuga in 2005. Matt Clark happens to be my dad. His ship and fellow crew members were deployed to Louisiana following Hurricane Katrina's landfall.
We were kind of just trying to prepare for a little bit of everything.
My dad and the rest of his team were tasked with helping the Coast Guard the first morning they were there. Once they finished up, they went back up the Mississippi River to start helping those who stayed behind.
So the first people we found, they just wanted to leave. They'd been there long enough. We're talking, I think, 4 or 5 days now after the storm, so they'd had enough. And we just started walking the neighborhood, we started walking the 9th Ward, and then we just ran into people. And as we ran into people, we just offered help.
Times were tough for all.
It was really hard to find fuel. I mean, we had barely enough gas on board the ship to even operate our own craft. There was no power anywhere. The roads were all blocked. I mean, it was a really difficult area to get any kind of assistance into.
To the north and east of New Orleans is Gulfport, Mississippi, another area hit hard by Katrina. Jessica Reno, who lives in the Lowcountry, knew they had to get to her in-laws to help.
And so we made the command decision to pack up the Tahoe, grab a friend's trailer, and we picked up 3 generators, a bunch of gas, a bunch of water, a bunch of non-perishable foods, because we just really didn't know what their status was at that point.
As they crossed into Mississippi, they started seeing some of the devastation.
On the interstate, some of a lot of trees down. You could see where there were boats that were in places that boats shouldn't be.
Those sites of destruction continued as they drove into Gulfport, and the smells seeped in.
So Gulfport is a port city. You have a lot of container ships come in. The smell of rotten chicken was awful.
I had the chance to talk with Colin Arnold, the director of the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness for the city of New Orleans. He says they have recovered, but it's important they don't become complacent.
We have to continue to make sure to hold accountable those that inspect, that provide preventative maintenance, those that do things that protect the infrastructure in the city, and to make sure that we have good communications with them and that we understand what's going on.
Over the last 2 decades, they've been able to make improvements. A critical one, a new power station that came online just last month. This will help power the city's pumps, which has always been an issue.
And it's a massive pumping system, 30 pump stations. It has the equivalent capacity of pumping the Ohio River in the opposite direction. It's going to be a game changer for us as far as being able to really power that drainage system through anything.
There's also been added protection to the area, a 2-mile surge barrier.
But they can close that wall and it protects us up to 28 feet of storm surge.
And improvements to the levee system. All these changes and improvements, so hopefully the area will never have to experience that level of devastation again. While most of the areas hit continue to rebuild and become more resilient, some areas unfortunately haven't been able to completely redevelop, showing the magnitude and devastation of this storm.
This state-of-the-art research facility is located in Chester County. Now, here is the test chamber. You can see 105 fans. It's 6 stories tall, creates winds up to 130 miles per hour, and we're talking 350 horsepower. All of that is used in experiments on wind, wind-driven rain, wind-driven hail, and even wildfires.
We're one of the only facilities in the entire country that can actually test at full scale. So that means we have full 1- and 2-story residential homes and full-size commercial buildings, and we can actually replicate real-life winds, real-life storm scenarios, and we can see how the wind moves and pulls and pushes on that building.
But all this research requires lots of buildings.
Sometimes we burn a building down or blow it over every week, every month, lots of times throughout the year. So we have our own construction teams here on site, construction professionals that build things from the ground up.
Why do all this? To minimize loss and disruption.
Historically, homes and businesses in the United States are built to account for life safety, which means that you can be in the building and you can survive the storm. That's fantastic. We want people to survive storms, but we also realize that people want their homes to survive.
What do they test for hurricanes?
We want to know what is the best roofing material to put on your house. What types of windows should you have on your house to help them stand up to flying debris.
This demo is going to send a 2x4 at roughly 35 miles per hour into the window. So it's going to show you the importance of using impact rated windows, basically testing against flying debris, and also showing why you should not be standing near windows during storms. 3, 2, 1. And this was just a low impact demo, 1 2x4, one piece of flying debris. And with roughly 35 mile per hour winds, again, you're going to get much stronger winds than this with straight line winds out of thunderstorms or a tropical system. A 2x4 was also sent into this window at roughly 35 miles per hour. Now, this is an impact rated window. So while it's broken, it is all still in one piece, so it's going to eliminate flying glass as well as eliminating wind pressures from getting into the rest of the house.
The key is really going to be to protect the openings of your home, because once an opening is breached, and that leads to additional structural damage.
Ranks 8th, Charleston County ranks 8th nationally for expected losses from hurricanes.
Insurance costs in the Lowcountry are skyrocketing. Protecting your home in advance can actually save you money. I spoke with 2 independent insurance agencies to see how much we can expect to pay in a changing climate.
In Charleston in particular, homeowners pay about 60% above the national average for home insurance, and a lot of that has to do with the risk there.
And with storms becoming more severe and frequent in the Lowcountry,
basically 99% of counties in the country are more safe from natural hazards than Charleston is.
A common misconception is flood insurance is included in home insurance.
Homeowners policies do not cover water that is rising up from the ground. That would be considered a flood. That needs to be purchased separately from homeowners insurance. In a lot of areas, it's required, but in most, it's not.
Flooding is one of the biggest risks here in the Lowcountry.
FEMA says that just 1 inch of floodwater can cause around $25,000 worth of damage to your home, and even homes outside of high-risk flood zones can flood. About 40% of all flood claims happen in what are considered low to moderate risk areas.
But the question we are all asking, after already spending thousands each year, how much more will this cost?
Often costs less than $1,000 per year. Most people get it through the National Flood Insurance Program through FEMA, but you can also get it through a private insurer.
And what if the insurance company decides it is too expensive?
Your first steps after that should be to contact your insurer, get some clarification, find out if you can make repairs or home renovations that sort of strengthen your home against severe weather. Then they might consider insuring you again.
Brandon says make a list of items in your home and take pictures or videos to make sure it is all insured, no matter the damage.
It's very important that I think another misconception is that damage from named storms, wind and hail is always included.
And if insurance companies do not cover wind damage, there are other options.
You might be able to use the South Carolina Wind and Hail Underwriting Association, which is a group of insurers that will cover properties that otherwise would not be covered because insurers deem them too risky. Getting ahead of the game and practicing proper home maintenance is a good way to preempt any unfortunate surprises financially.
Working for you, Fallon Mears, News 4.
One of the goals of IBHS is to make homes and commercial buildings stronger. They have a program called Fortified, which is basically a set of construction standards to upgrade your roof. I got to test it out to see all the different components of a fortified roof and what makes it so strong.
This black stuff is called underlayment, and this is what is actually on your roof deck underneath your shingles. So if your shingles blew off, this is what would be on underneath. You do notice that this is just kind of stapled on here. Not really in any particular pattern, no real spacing.
So I tried to pull the shingles off like wind could blow them off during a hurricane.
It's blowing your shingles off, it's blowing your underlayment off now, and now you have these gaps in your roof. And you do need these gaps to allow for expansion and contraction.
But you don't want those gaps exposed.
When a hurricane comes along, it also brings heavy rain. So we can make it rain on this roof as well. And if you just want to dump that on the roof deck, and we'll see what happens. So you can probably already hear it. That's the sound of the water flowing into your house. And in a few more minutes, we'll see all that water drain out into these beakers on the side, and we can look at how much water came out.
Let's take an average 2,000 square foot house. If all the shingles are blown off and then the underlayment is blown off, for every 1 inch of rain that falls, about 9 bathtubs full of water can fall into your roof.
So once you get water into your house, we call that a damage amplifier because it leads to other issues. So things like mold, wet insulation, wet sheetrock, your belongings are going to be wet as well.
Their solution to keep the water out at all costs. And that can be accomplished by using a fortified roof like this. I wanted to test it for myself.
Got one button cap. Yeah, you're pulling on that really hard, right?
Yeah,
and it's not budging.
Yeah, it's not
I can actually never get this off.
It's
going to take a lot more force to pull this off. So if you feel this in your hand.
Oh, it's a lot thicker.
Yeah.
More sturdy.
Yeah, it's about twice as thicker as regular underlayment. So secured to the roof deck with these button cap nails, so we have this larger surface area. You notice that the crack now has this tape over it. This is called flashing tape. And on a fortified roof, every crack on the entire roof surface is going to have this flashing tape on it. The tape just does an incredible job of keeping the rain out, and our research shows that it keeps up to 95% of water from entering your home.
In this case, mission accomplished, keeping almost all, if not all water, out of the home.
We prepare ourselves, we prepare our homes, but we also need to make sure our pets stay safe. Any kind of weather can be stressful for some animals, and as pet owners, our responsibility is to keep them safe and comfortable. With tropical systems, anxiety is high, so the best way to keep your pets safe is to have an emergency to-go bag for anything your pet needs.
It's also really important that you have at least a 2-week supply of your pet's food, either in cans with a can opener that you can use, or in a watertight container if it's dry food, so that you have that accessible. Making sure you have bowls, 2-week supply of water, either in gallons or jugs, is nice to have as well, so that you're prepared no matter where you end up with your pet.
Dr. McLean says the most common reason for a visit to the ER is gastrointestinal issues, such as vomiting, diarrhea, or a loss of appetite from stressful environments. In the times where your pets cannot wait 5 days to see the vet, an emergency room visit is essential to save them.
Helene and Katrina are reminders of how catastrophic hurricanes can be, along the coast and further inland.
It's been decades since the Lowcountry had a storm with devastating impacts. It was Hurricane Hugo. Not far from here, you see the Ben Sawyer Bridge. It was tipped over during Hugo, preventing people from getting on and off Sullivan's Island and Isle of Palms. After the storm, changes came to the area, including the building of the IOP connector.
Now is the time to prepare. Every storm is different, and no matter what the season holds, the Storm Tracker weather team will be here to keep you safe.
For myself and the rest of the Storm Tracker team, we're working for you to get you through this hurricane season safely together.